Hey, what's up, family? It's your guy, Ed Turner, Mr. Community himself, here with another episode of Tap In Dallas. You already know what it is. We're here to bring you the stories, voices, and issues that matter most to our community. Whether it's making sure our kids have access to smart programs, highlighting our local heroes, or keeping you in the know about what's happening right here in our neighborhoods. This is the place where you can tap in, stay informed, and take action. Today's episode is packed with inspiration, real talk, and as always, a little bit of that Dallas love. So grab a seat, turn up the volume, and get ready because we got a great one for you today. Let's get it. Today, we're talking with Jenny Nicewander, Director of the City of Dallas Office of Bonds Construction Management, and we're going to discuss the $1.25 billion that was passed in May of 24 of this year, and the bond covers capital improvements and construction projects and all the stuff you see happening in the roads. So thank you, Ms. Nicewander, for joining us today, and let's jump into it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you give our listeners a brief overview of what a municipal bond is, how does it work, and also a little bit more specifics about the 24 bond?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of a big question, so I may back up a little bit and just get into why we even need one. Right?
Absolutely.
So as you're probably aware, as everybody's aware, we have a lot of needs in the city of Dallas. And so what the bonds do is it allows for the city to invest in those capital improvements, so the big street reconstructions, any type of bridge rehabilitation, a new rec center, those types of projects are huge, right? And they take up a lot of our capital. So, So what the city of Dallas has traditionally done is use the bond process to fund those types of projects. So, and then backing up a little bit. So how we track those projects, we have something that we keep. It's called our needs inventory. And all of our infrastructure departments, so now our transportation and streets department, our transportation public works department, our parks department, DW, they all maintain what we call our needs inventory. So is a listing of all the projects and how much we think they're going to cost that would qualify for a bond program. So that list, the last time we reported to council, was at $18 billion.
Oh, wow.
So we have a huge amount of needs.
So this $1.25 billion is only a drop in the bucket for the real needs.
Yeah, I mean, for talking purposes, about a 20th of what our overall needs are. So as of last year.
Can you tell us about what type of projects are eligible for bonds? Because oftentimes people don't understand that bonds can only pay for certain things. They can't pay for wages or things of that nature. So tell us, what do our bond dollars pay for?
Yeah, and that's a great question, too. And we got that quite a bit during our town halls last year. So the types of projects that are eligible for bond funding we call them our capital projects. And for the bond office, those capital projects need to have a 20-year life because typically the projects or the bonds that are sold to fund these projects have a 20-year life. So we want to make sure that whatever we're building will at least be as long as our payback period. So that includes things like street reconstructions, those bridge rehabilitations. We have 2 of those this year in the bond. We have rec centers, library renovations, and we have some fire station renovations as well, and a completely replacement of one fire station. So those really big projects that would otherwise really impact our general fund, we have been funding those through our bond process. So those types of projects. Yeah.
Awesome, because I know in Dallas is growing so fast. A lot of people are moving here. So oftentimes people mix the construction up with text dot versus when you think about your local street and your small bridges, that's your City of Dallas bond dollars paying for that. Now, I know one thing is really important, and you kind of talked about the $18.5 billion, what we really need, and versus the $1.25 billion that we passed. I know people are always concerned why we go with the smaller number as it relates to taxes. If we go $18.5 billion, how does that affect our taxes versus going with the $1.25 billion to make sure that we're not being taxed out the market?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So with that, we work closely with our budget office,
Okay.
and they really provided us the guidance on what our limit would be for our bond program, with the caveat that it would not increase our taxes to our residents.
Right.
That was really important from the get-go. The other thing we had to balance this year was any type of capacity that we were going to need or potentially need for the pension issues that have been coming up. So this year, for this particular bond, we had to keep both of those things kind of in play. So with that, Budget Office was very comfortable with us having a $1.25 billion bond. But you're absolutely right. If we were to go beyond that, then there could potentially be an increase to the residents' taxes, which obviously we don't want.
Right.
And that would also go to the voters. So we wouldn't, systematically make a decision like that without then, going to the voters to confirm.
Right. And I think it's important for voters to know that anytime we as a city come ask you for more money, your vote has to determine 100%. Whether or not we get more money from you because we're asking for your tax dollars. And I know people are always asking about the process. How do they get, when you go to one neighborhood in the South versus the East versus the North, the needs are different, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you get people's information to and understand the process on the things they feel is important is included in a particular bond?
Yeah.
What's that process?
So, and there's a couple layers to that. So obviously we work very closely with the council member for that district and try to identify what their understanding of the community's needs are, what they hear about on a daily, weekly basis, and make sure we incorporate those needs. For this particular bond in 2024, we also had 2 sets of town halls. The first one was to gather information from the residents as well and to determine what needs were, throughout our community. So, and I believe we had 2 town halls per council district. So we really did make an effort to get out and see everybody and get some feedback on that. The other thing that we incorporated with this bond program was a community bond task force. And this was the second bond program where we had a task force that also had some input into how projects were selected. And they were representatives of their community as well. The council members would appoint them. We had 5 different subcommittees and 1 overall task force. So we had a total of 90 people that were involved for several months, working with staff, working with council, and working with their community to identify those needs. And really, they were the advocates for their projects and in their particular community.
Awesome. So what you're saying is that even in the process, this stuff is not done in silos. We actually go out into the community. We get community input, community engagement, and we take that information back to a committee to determine. And these people on the committee have to make hard decisions because it's a battle of how do we get this $1.25 billion to spread out amongst a large city as large as Dallas. And I know that's where you are now with the 2024 bond. But we also know that there are future bonds that come along like every 5 years or so. What are your department doing for the future bonds as we get ready to see the future of Dallas and how it relates to that? What's the plan that's in place?
Sure. Thank you for that. So I think one of the things that one of our takeaways was that we probably needed to start that process a lot sooner. So what we've done, we've hired a community engagement manager. It's the first time the bond office has ever had that. So we're really starting that process now, reaching out to our council members. We're trying to get as engaged as we possibly can with them, even if it's just, through their newsletters or if they have a community meeting they want us to come out and talk to people about. Because every time I talk to people, I try and tell them, listen, if you come to me a year before the bond goes to an election to ask about a project getting on the list, it's too late. We really have to start this process really early. So I would encourage anybody to either reach out to their council member or our office directly if you'd like us to come out and talk to your community or homeowners association or whatever group. We're more than happy to come out and let you know what that process is. It's certainly not a guarantee of getting a project on the bond. I mean, with $18 billion in needs, they're tough decisions that have to be made. The other thing that we are doing, so those are the things that we identified that we needed to improve. But the other thing that we're doing is we have a survey out on our website now.
Okay.
Excuse me. And that survey is for the residents to really get their feedback on. So what things went right or what things went wrong or how could we improve it for the next time. So we're really encouraging everybody to go out and fill that survey out.
Right. So you're being proactive, right? We want to get ahead of this. We've learned from the past, and we know if we want to have residents continuously engage in the process, let's get the information out early.
Yeah.
Where can people find out information about this survey?
So that's on the homepage of our website,
okay.
And I have a bit.ly address for it. So and I tested it this morning, so it works. So it's dal.city/B OND, capital OFFICE. So it's dow.city/bond office with the B and the O capitalized. And that'll take you to the homepage of our website. And we have it in 3 different languages. So
awesome. So Dallas residents, you can see on the podcast at the very bottom, you see the QR code where you can scan, as well as the Bentley code to fill out the survey for the bond. This is how your voice is heard. We need your information so we can share it with our bond department, and they can make the best decisions when it comes to the needs for your particular community. And so one last question here before we wrap it up. I know you have to work with council. I know you have to work with residents. How do you maneuver all of that? Because it's like you're getting hit from different ways. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So with council, we do meet with them, or at least offer to meet with them monthly to talk about existing bond projects or the ones that are coming, so that they're on track with what projects are important to them, or if they've have residents that are calling in, so we can keep them up to speed on that. And with residents, it's kind of the same thing. They'll have a question either about a street, or if we can direct them to the right department, to maybe it's a project that doesn't qualify for the bond, so maybe it's a pothole or something that they get directed to us for some reason, then we'll pass that on and see if we can get that repair done outside of the bond program. And otherwise, we work with them as best we can and let them know the process, that it's a long process, but we're more than happy to help and to advocate for. I'll help them advocate for their projects.
And you bring up another part, too, when it comes to the city, the way government works, right? There are a lot of departments that are involved in this conversation and involved in this process when it comes to the bond. How do you all interact with the various departments within the city to make sure that we're getting these projects off the road smoothly?
Yeah. So we had a lot of interaction with all the departments as we were putting the bond program together. So we had 10 propositions and just about as many departments that that we were working with them, with the Community Bond Task Force, to make sure we had the latest projects and dollar amounts or dollars that would go towards those projects. So that was very active. Now that the bond is passed and all the projects within those propositions are now being, given back to those departments for them to manage. So when it comes to the individual projects, the departments manage their own. They're the subject matter experts, so that just makes sense. But the other thing our office does is it's part of our responsibility is to track those projects and make sure that we are staying on what we're hoping is a 5-year process. So that doesn't mean we'll complete every project within 5 years, but the goal is that we will allocate all of that $1.25 billion over the course of 5 years. So projects that may be funded in years 5 may not be completed till year 6 or 7 because it's just the nature of the project.
Yeah. And a lot of residents don't realize when they see these construction taking place right now, that bond has already been funded, it's been already voted on, and it takes a while for projects to go through the process to become reality. And a lot of times residents don't know that. So I appreciate you coming on the show today and educating the residents of Dallas how the bond process works and how does it benefit them, and letting them know their taxes are not going up. And that's why we chose $1.25 billion, so there's not an increase in your taxes. But 5 years from now, we will be back asking for more money because we still have $18.5 billion in needs. And that's just how the cookie crumbles at times, right? Ms. Nicewander, thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for educating the voters of Dallas about the bond process. And I look forward to seeing it all come to fruition. And remember, the survey, check the bottom of the page. You see the Bentley link. You see the QR code. Scan it and get more information so your voice can be heard about how you want your bond dollars to be used. Again, Ms. Nicewander, thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
Until next time, y'all tap in.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, family. That's a wrap on today's episode of Tap In Dallas. I hope you feel informed, inspired, and ready to make a difference in our community, because that's what we do here. Remember, this is your platform where we elevate our voices, tell our stories, and push for the change we want to see. We also bring you insight straight from the City of Dallas subject matter experts, breaking down how your tax dollars are at work every day to benefit you, the residents of Dallas. If you hadn't already, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you stay in the loop on all the latest episodes, and share this with your friends, neighbors, and everyone in between. Follow us on social media. Drop a comment or two. You know we want to hear from you. And as always, stay connected, stay involved, and most importantly, continue to tap in. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.